Welcome back to Rocket Talk. It is episode 39, and Corey is officially our longest running guest. Welcome back again, Corey. Connor was supposed to join us, but he is at the store right now, so it's just Corey, Johhny, and I again. So, Corey, hello again.
Hello. I'm better than Connor anyway.
Yeah, I would agree. No, but yeah, so Connor should be back next week finally after his break. Like I said, he was going to be on here, but he. I guess it is Sunday, early afternoon, so everyone's at the store right now, and the Vikings don't play till tomorrow, so everyone's doing all their stuff right now up in Minneapolis. So, alrighty, before we jump into some nerd news now, let's do a quick bev check. What are you guys sipping on today?
Well, I am, after last week's Starbucks mess up, I decided to ask for extra peppermint with my peppermint mocha, and let me just tell you, it is delicious. It is everything that I wanted, and so now I think what I'm going to do is ask for extra peppermint every time.
Not a bad idea. Corey, what about you?
I have a cold brew from Scooters with cream and sugar and melted ice because I let it sit for like 3 hours.
Well, I am the only one not drinking coffee right now. I have a nice root beer, so sipping on a nice Lidl brand root beer. Lidl is a lot like Aldi. It's great. It's cheap. Love it. So
We love cheap.
yeah, it's like it's basically another Aldi. Everything there is so cheap. Like you can get like an 18 pack of eggs for like 70 cents, and so it's like already, this is my store. So
I love that.
it's amazing. So only a couple nerd news now ones. So let's jump into the first one. Mads Mickelson is in talks to replace Johnny Depp in Fantastic Beasts episode 3. So we talked about it last week with Johnny Depp and his whole departure after the assault allegations that have been going on for a few years. And whether you agree or disagree with the decision of him stepping down, that this is happening, and so they're looking for a replacement for Grindelwald. And this is actually one that I wasn't thinking of right away. I honestly didn't even know if they'd find someone and the series would just kind of end. But I like this one a lot. Are there any other actors that you guys really think fit this role well outside of Mads to replace Johnny Depp?
I don't.
Go ahead.
Johnny Depp is such a difficult actor to replace, and I think this is probably going to be the closest we get. And he was known for playing Dr. Hannibal on Hannibal. And he was in Rogue One.
Yeah, he's outside of Rogue One, he's primarily been a lot of villains. He was the villain in Doctor Strange. I want to say he's the villain in Death Stranding, the video game. I haven't played it, and I just know the game's kind of weird, but I know he's in it as well, and he's mocapped in it. So he's been in a lot more of the villain or the or like the anti-hero type of character in a lot of these things. So I think it's one that it'll work, and he has a lot of the same facial structures as Johnny Depp's face too, or like so it'll work as well, where like it's not going to be as jarring of a change like what we saw in, say, Iron Man when Don Cheadle took over as Rhodey, where it's just like Cheadle's face is thinner and a little longer and all that. But yeah, I like this move as best as you can, I guess, because it is hard to replace Johnny Depp. Johhny, is there any actors that you think would have been a better fit maybe than Mads?
Yeah, I definitely thought that Benedict Cumberbatch would be a good replacement for Johnny Depp. I just think that a lot of them kind of have that, I don't know, they kind of have a similar, like, typecast, I guess you could say, with the characters that they play, and so I could definitely see them having a bit of overlap between between the two of them for this role. But yeah, I don't think Mads is a bad Mads Mikkelsen is a bad addition instead. But the first one that came to mind was definitely Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, I think that's a good one too. There's a couple others. There was one that Connor mentioned when we met, and I can't remember who he said, but it was another one that's like, oh, this would be a really good role as well. But yeah, I'm a fan of this. I think this is I think that this could work out for this thing, and as much as I don't want to give J.K. Rowling more money, I think that them going in this direction can hopefully get this third movie out. Hopefully it's better than the second movie. Hopefully the plot is a little less convoluted. But we'll definitely find out on that. Moving on to our last Nerd News Now one. I'm bummed Connor's in here to talk a little bit about this. But as many may know, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 were released this past week. And so the systems are now out. And it's been kind of a mess getting your consoles. But, we expected trying to get a console if you didn't have a pre-order early on was going to be kind of a mess with the whole pandemic and how none of a lot of stores aren't selling the consoles like in the brick and mortar stores. Like you have to buy on Target.com and do a pickup instead of going right into your local Target and going to the electronics and buying it there. But Amazon has had a little bit of an issue with the Series X pre-orders. It looks like they may have oversold some pre-orders, but they were emailing people the day before the Series X launch. They emailed people this past Monday saying that they expect to ship their console in the coming weeks as they receive more inventory in November and December. And they said, at this time of writing, we anticipate you will receive your Xbox Series X by December 31st or before. We are making every effort to get you this as soon as possible and apologize for any inconvenience. So, this is a little shitty. Think about this. If you spent $500 to pre-order something back in September, and it's now November, and you're not going to get it till maybe the end of the year, where there's some people that are getting lucky going to Target.com and scooping one up. Then they did it the day of. Kind of sucks. So this whole thing's kind of been a disaster. I know that not everyone is as in tune with this video game news, but how would either of you feel if this was you? Like I know, Johhny, you're planning on getting a PS5 down the line, and so hopefully by the time you're getting yours, this won't be going on. But what would you guys feel like if you were one of these Xbox people?
Honestly, I feel really bad. But at the same time, this is something that people probably should have anticipated. Maybe not to this extreme, but I mean, just knowing how long it's taking for people to get things. So I work at a store where we, ship orders and we receive orders. And normally we tell them, it'll take 3 to 5 business days. But it's taking longer. Postal service has just kind of been given the short end of the stick. And even Amazon's going to be affected by that no matter what happens. So I expected that there would be delays. I just didn't expect it to be this late.
So I think this is such a bad move. I mean, so many people pre-ordered their systems, and this is it's so disappointing because this shouldn't come as a shock. Like, they should know how much are in stock, and they should definitely say, we do not have enough. But they oversold, and that's such a stupid thing. Like, it's not affecting me, but it's not a mistake that was unpreventable. It's definitely something that a lot of businesses had predicted and a lot of businesses had in check. And I'm sure people would rather not have bought one than bought one that is promised only until the end of the year. And even then, I mean, there's no guarantee that's people extend dates all the time. So at this point, it could be by December 31st, but maybe December 25th comes around, Christmas Day comes around, and they get another email that says, we're extending our release date to January 15th or January 31st. It could be a long time until they get their system. And especially for people who gave money before the release date, this should just not happen.
Luckily Amazon doesn't charge you until it ships, but still, I would understand if some, mom and pop electronics store, if they had an issue with it. But this is Amazon. This is one of the biggest companies in the world. How do they not do this? Yeah, I had a buddy of mine affected by this. I was mad that my PS5 came a day late. And that's just because of FedEx's incompetence. But that's a day.
First world problems, Luke.
I know exactly. And that is it is first world problem, especially in a pandemic. But the fact that I had to wait an extra day, and I was like kind of bummed about that because mine sat in a warehouse in the Atlanta metro for a day instead of being delivered to me. It's like, at least I still got mine like the second day it was out. I still got mine very early, where you're having these people that, they spent hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Like, or in his base spend it. And then on top of that too, now, okay, like since Amazon charges you when it ships, now they have to, move their money around and make sure that they have enough money in their bank account for the next month and a half, because who knows when it's going to ship. So that's another issue you can run into, where some people might have to cancel their pre-orders because of this, because they have $500 in November. But then with the holidays coming up, maybe there's, maybe someone has an unfortunate job loss, or something that's, a big money situation, a car breaks down, or a death in the family, that could happen to someone. And now their pre-order that they did in early September now all of a sudden has to go to the wayside. So definitely not something, luckily this isn't affecting us. I mean, I have a friend it's affecting, but like, it is good that this isn't affecting us. It still sucks, and I feel bad for every single person that has this happen to them, because like, it does suck. So especially too, this whole pre-order thing's been a mess. Like, kind of a semi-lament on this. So I mean, it's a first world problem to complain about getting my thing a day late, but I didn't know my PlayStation 5 shipped until 6 p.m. the day before the PS5 was released. Like, Target did such a bad job like communicating stuff, because there's people that were messaging their customer service and they were telling them, oh, it's going to ship before, it's going to ship on the day, it's going to ship the following Monday. Like, no one knew when this was going to ship. And I got lucky that my distribution center was in Madison, Alabama, 3 hours away. But this whole disaster with the console pre-orders has been a mess. I get, we're in a pandemic and that has affected a lot of things. That's why we don't have as much consoles, and that's fine. But these big companies that have just been so poor with their communications and so poor with their selling of them is now making it so you go on Facebook Marketplace right now and someone's selling 15 PS5s for $800 each, and it just sucks.
Yeah.
So, but speaking of the PS5, I am going to give a couple impressions on it first before I do more of a full review on a mini that's going to come in the next few weeks. We're also going to do a mini on the Series X. We're going to bring in a guy named Joel that'll come in and talk with Connor about the Xbox. So I got my PS5, like I said, day late. Sucks that it was day late, but playing with it for a couple days, the thing is awesome. I cannot recommend it enough for anyone who already has a PlayStation 4 and looking to upgrade, or anyone who is wanting to jump on the bandwagon like Johhny was going to be doing. It is pretty awesome. Especially compared to all the things that it had with the PS4 with its issues. I am such a fan. It is wonderful. I've been playing mainly Call of Duty and Astro's Playroom. I haven't played Snacks yet, or the PS5 upgrades of Dead by Daylight or Fortnite, but it's great. The DualSense is such an amazing controller, and especially in Astro's Playroom, it really shows it off. So right now, early on, I am loving it so far. Definitely was worth the $500 purchase, even though I had to rearrange my entertainment stand for that big behemoth, but it's awesome. So be sure to tune into that mini that we'll have in the coming weeks for more of my thoughts, and then I will see if I can track down another buddy of mine who has the PS5 as well to give their impressions of it as well. But let's move on.
Hopefully I'll have it. Hopefully I'll be able to join you for that, but we will see.
If not, once you get yours, Johhny, you can do your own little blast off or blow up of it as well, of how you feel, and especially as someone coming in who didn't have a PS3 or PS4. Did you have a PS2 like everyone else?
Yeah, I had a PS2, but it was, I believe it was my uncle's, and so I only had it when I visited California. So if I remember right, I don't think it ever came to the Midwest with me, so I didn't get to use it all the time. But
okay.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Blaster for Blow Up, we got one this week as well. So Corrie, you're gonna review the new app Tribe. So why don't you take that away? Kind of just tell us about this. How'd you find out about this? And then just kind of describe what the app is for those like Johhny and I who don't know what it is.
So I found out about this. I was surfing the web, and there's a website that I visit called Her Campus, which is like a website for college women to like build resumes, things like that. And someone was talking about this. And it was started by Chad Kroeger, who you might know as the frontman of Nickelback. And so obviously I saw that. I was like, oh, I have to try this out because I unironically like Nickelback. And so basically Tribe is a social media app. It's still kind of like in its early stages / beta testing, where you kind of get paid to post. Their whole thing is like, oh, you don't have to have a huge following to make money posting on social media. That's like their big thing. And as of right now, there are only 2 ways to get on the app. You either join the wait list, which is what I did, and I got my acceptance a couple days ago, but I applied back in late September, early October, I think. And then invitation. So someone who's already on the platform can invite you, and then you can go ahead and jump on from there. But basically, its layout is very similar to Instagram. So I actually meant to send a screen recording for you guys to kind of see what it looks like. But its layout is very similar to Instagram, with like where all the notifications are. The fact is like you're posting videos, pictures, and stuff like that, rather than like on TikTok where you're just posting, 15 to 60-second videos. But the thing is, you can also click reward. So there are 2 things. There are rewards and there are booster points or bits. And so you can use your booster points on your own post or other people's posts that you really like. And you're like, oh, more people should see it. Or you can give rewards, which after so many rewards, that translates to real money that you would like transfer over to your bank. Kind of like Venmo. So that's kind of the basics of it, I suppose.
Okay. What do you think that this app can do to kind of take some of the market share of the other social media apps? Because I mean, it is so dominant right now by Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. TikTok has really come to its own, and Snapchat did as well. We see apps come and go. MySpace used to have a huge chunk of the market share, and stuff like that. So, what do you think this app can do so it can kind of bite into this market share? Because right now these apps are so like integrated into our daily lives that people might be hesitant to pick up a new app, even if there is a chance it can make money from it.
Yeah, so I kind of joined thinking like, oh, yeah, make like $5 a month or something, being very generous with that amount. I'm not quite sure if it is going to dominate much of the space because, again, I have all those apps you listed, and with it being just so similar to Instagram, and the fact that there's a wait list or you have to be invited, which makes it seem like you're being like it's super exclusive. I think that's really going to be detrimental. However, TikTok kind of started off like that. It started off as Musical.ly, where just not a lot of people are on it, and then it just magically blew up. So I think in its current state, this is going to be a blow up. It's not going to do very well. However, I am going to be pretty generous with it since it is brand new, since they are still kind of testing things out, and it's Nickelback, and so it's probably going to be decent. I'm going to say it's a very light blast off. It might blow up while it's in the air like an Apollo, but...
So, what do you think it needs then to be able to get more into a blast off then?
I think a big part of it is just being clearer about how you get these rewards, how much a reward point is to like a real life money amount. So I know with like TikTok, if you get partnered up with the creator fund, it's like, every like is like a point of a cent or something like that. And so you make money doing that. I think if they're a little more open about what that looks like and just tips on how to, get like the attention essentially. Mm-hmm. So I've already made a post on there. And with it still being so small, it's pretty easy to kind of like, a little bit of clout, but it's still just very iffy. It's very iffy, but it's a very clean design. I do like the design of it.
That's good, yeah.
This app reminds me of the Jeremy Renner official app. just because you said it was made by somebody who's famous. And both Jeremy Renner, even though he's one of the Avengers, he's still like one of the he's like the least Avenger. And then you have like a like the guy of Nickelback, the head guy of Nickelback, which is like, it's really cool to be the biggest member of Nickelback, but it's also Nickelback, which is like way down below. So it's kind of funny. Like, I see a lot of similarities here, even though the purpose of each app is different. Jeremy Renner's was supposed to be like interacting with him, and then it just became memed and made fun of, and it's been a joke. This one is as far as what I've seen from what you've said and the bit of research I've done, it doesn't seem like the app itself is a joke, but because it's made by somebody in Nickelback, I think it's only a matter of time before this is a big joke. Maybe it'll be big, but it just seems like I'm worried that it's going to take the same fate that Jeremy Renner official took, which is humiliating, by the way.
Probably, but at least then I can say, yeah, I was on that platform at like the beginning, or at least like its middle life.
To be able to say you were a part of something that's that big of a joke is actually a badge of honor, which is something you should very much be proud of. But to be the one that's running it is the exact opposite of how they should feel. But maybe it'll be the next TikTok or the next Facebook. We'll see. Hopefully they do better than the JRO, but we will see.
You want me to send you an invite, Johhny?
Yes, please send me an invite.
Yeah, because I remember the app I was or the social media I was most excited to jump on early, like with Tribe, was Google Plus. For some reason, little like 15-year-old Luke thought that this was going to be the Facebook killer, and Google Plus lasted like only a couple of years before Google like phased it out and shut it down. Like I remember I was so excited for it, and nothing happened with it.
Yeah,
it launched in 2011, and then it's really been they officially fully disconnected it in 2019, but Google Plus was pretty much dead on arrival. Like, especially because it really didn't do a whole lot of things that really separated itself from Facebook, outside of your like little, I think it was circles is what it was. So what you could do is you could make it so you could put different circles in. Like, you could have, I want my, I can have like my work friends. I can have my family. You could have different circles, so that way you could maybe have posts that would be a little more
family friendly.
Yeah, more family friendly posts, a little more of like your more goofy comedy stuff with more of your close friends. So that way your social media look a little different depending on who it is. But yeah, the thing never gained much traction, and eventually was shut down. So, but I remember that was definitely a huge one that I was super excited for, and nothing ever came from it. So maybe this will be the same way, but yeah, maybe it'll be like TikTok, and in 2 or 3 years, everyone's on Tribe and talking about it, or as a lot of the there's a lot of people that are in the conservative market jumping off of Facebook and jumping into Parler and stuff like that. So who knows how any of these new apps will do. But actually, Corey's Blaster Blowout plus the PS5 first impressions and talking about the Series X all can help kind of tie in to our topic of the week this week. We have a perfect segue this time. So with the new consoles, this new app, I thought it'd be fun to talk about the idea of early adoption of new tech, new hardware, stuff like that. So there's a lot of pros and cons to purchasing a PlayStation 5 at launch. Trying out a new app like Tribe or stuff like that. So I thought it'd be fun if we kind of talked about some of the different pros and cons of these things, and like why we as consumers like to do this. Because so I bought a PS5. I currently have Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which I purposely bought on. I pre-ordered to get the PS5 version because I knew I'd get a good amount of time out of that. Astro's Playroom, which is free with all PS5s. Bug Snacks, which is free because I have PlayStation Plus, and then I have the PS5 upgrades of Dead by Daylight and Fortnite. So outside of buying the PS5, so technically for Ash's Playroom, I did not spend a single dollar for all but one of my PS5 games. All of my PS5 games, except for Call of Duty, I technically got for free because I either bought a PS5, I have PlayStation Plus, or I already owned the other two with Fortnite and Dead by Daylight. So there's not a lot of PS5 games that I have right now, but I do have a lot of the other stuff I can take advantage of with the faster hardware and the PS4 backwards compatibility. But, there are cons that come with that as well. But what about you guys? What are some pros and cons you can think of buying some new tech at launch, or in Corey's case with the app with Tribe? Like, what are some things like that?
So I'm going to speak more on like the social media stuff because that's more of my thing. I'm not much of a quote unquote gamer. But I mean, it's a way to kind of like get, semi-famous. Like, it's not like, oh, you're going to go to a Hollywood premiere, but if you're on TikTok, everyone knows who Howdy Y'all is. Everyone knows, Mother Nature and her intern. Like, we kind of know these things are kind of a staple. So I think it's just kind of a way for people to get like that 15 minutes of fame, at least on social media. Whereas gaming, I'm always a little more concerned about spending so much money on like new hardware just because our technology adapts and moves on so quickly. It feels like we just got the new Xbox, like the system before this newest one. It feels like we just got that. And then people are already spending money to go get the next thing. And kind of like, when's it just going to stop? Like, when are people going to realize, yes, my Apple product is fine the way it is. I don't need to upgrade it. Yeah,
because even though the original Xbox One came out in 2013, they did the Xbox One X upgrade, like the Pro version of the Xbox, only 3 years ago. So every 3-4 years, people are buying a new console or an upgraded version of the console. That adds up. Or bringing up Apple iPhones, that's another one. The newest iPhone, if you buy into it right now, you're getting 5G access, which, if you're in a place that has 5G and it's up and running at a pretty, good rate right now, awesome. But 5G is still such a new niche thing that buying an iPhone when that's the biggest new feature, it's like, is that worth it? Or one I put in our notes, someone who bought a 4K TV in the early 2010s, like, if you bought a 4K TV in 2012, it's a lot different than buying one in 2020 because there's not a whole lot of things that took advantage of it outside of some very, very expensive 4K Blu-ray players and other stuff like that, where, nowadays the PS5 has a 4K Blu-ray player built in, the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X has that. But, it's better now compared to early, which, it doesn't happen. But at the same time, when you're an early adopter, you get to experience those things first. You get to see, next gen technology and TV and video games and phones, but it does come at a cost. Johhny, what about you?
I am an old man, and I tend to not get new technology right away. The only new technology I get on release are Nintendo Switch consoles, which I've talked about before. Pretty much, I mean, I've got every single Nintendo Switch console ever. And the last 3 or 4,
all the Nintendo Switch consoles, all of them, huh?
all the Nintendo Switch consoles. So sorry, all the Nintendo consoles I have from the NES, SNES, 64, GameCube, Wii U, and Switch.
Virtual Boy.
Yes, but I wasn't including that. But yes, and I've got but those are really the only ones that I ever am eager to get on release. So outside of that, I tend to not, whether it's gaming or not, I tend to not get new stuff. I have a really crappy laptop. I have a outdated phone compared to most people. I didn't even get my first smartphone until 2014. And so I live in a world where I'm okay with everything that I have, only because I don't realize all the things I don't have. And so I don't feel like I'm missing out on much until I realize, oh, wow, we're in 2020 now. And aside from this year being shit, it's a year of really great technology. And so I just tend to not look up what I'm missing because that would just hurt.
That's smart. Because, there are, there's some benefits of you not doing that too. So, an easy one to think of is I mean, your big one you buy is a console, but one of the easiest cons to think of buying stuff early is the Xbox 360. So the Xbox 360 was notorious for its red ring of death that it had on the original model of the system. So there are estimates of about 25% of warranty claims for the red ring of death, where the console was bricked and just wouldn't work. And so a quarter of the claims are that, and and there's estimates up to 30-40% of the actual systems had this happen to them. So the fact that you're having such a high number of a popular system breaking because of hardware failure, and that's something that was later fixed in the revision Xboxes in the 2009, 2010, and then the third Xbox that came out when the Xbox One came out. That's a lot of things that can be avoided if you keep an iPhone 6S or whatever you have, Johhny, or you still have your laptop you bought in 2012. Because that is a big thing to avoid. I mean, we're already seeing a lot of people reporting issues with the PS5, suffering a download queue bug where some people have to completely factory reset their PlayStation 5, and if they just copied everything over from their PS4 and all their games, it took them 5-6 hours to copy everything, that's 5-6 hours they have to redo that again. Or wow. That, and and if they have data caps on their internet, that could mean they have to pick and choose which video games they want to install on their PS5 right away, and then wait till next month to download this game. Or if they were planning on buying another game on Black Friday, they got to maybe be careful about it because of the data cap. There's a lot of things like that it's just not a good idea. As I'm going to go play my PlayStation after this, but it's such a tricky situation, because especially I think in the video game market, because you do see bugs in those systems, but also it's not the same for everyone. I bought my PS4 day one. So actually on the day of this recording, it came out 7 years ago. So I've had it since 2013, and outside of the issues that everyone has with the PS4 in terms of how loud it is, how slow the UI got down at the end of its life, with how demanding the games were, I had no issues with it. Sure, when I had played Call of Duty, it would sound like a jet engine, but it worked. It ran. My games ran great. I had the occasional bug here and there, but every game has bugs. But then you have other people that they bought it and their PS4 broke down on them, or their Xbox 360 got the red ring of death. So there's, it's never the same. But in video games, a good one to think about is outside of Nintendo. All these video games that you buy, Crash 4, Call of Duty, GTA, they're $60, $70 on release date. But then 2 months from its release date, it's already on sale, either physically at GameStop or in the system store, and that $60 game is now on sale for $35 today, or it's this or that. And so it's outside of your Nintendo games, because those never go on sale, someone could wait a couple weeks, couple months, and get this game still pretty early in its life cycle, and then save a lot more money. Right now, Johhny could go buy a PS5 and buy Crash 4 and save money. I want to say it's $15 or $20 cheaper than what I would have paid for it to get it day one.
I think with video games, part of it's the spoiler thing. So anything that's story driven. So The Last of Us, people bought that right away because one, it was the last one, and to avoid spoilers. Which is why people will buy movies even if they don't need to. So the My Hero movies, people went and bought those the minute they were released, even though there are cheaper options, and it's not necessary to the plotline. So part of it's spoilers. And I don't know. I think people just really like the idea of being the first to have something. There's something about that.
Yeah.
It's I'm a little special.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty lucky that, because I think about the video game thing, there's been a few video games I got a few months down the line, and I'm lucky that I was able to avoid a lot of spoilers. I would go into one on a game, but I don't want to do it for that. I avoided spoilers in God of War and Spider-Man, both on as PS4 games, and both those games have some pretty crazy, not only crazy plot twists, but a plot twist, and then just a pretty important ending. And I'm glad that both of those were not spoiled for me, because like they both have some emotional moments that I'm glad that I got to experience without knowing what happened. Or there's a major character that shows up in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order that also wasn't spoiled to me. So I didn't know this major character appeared until they did, and like, which made it better. Even though the appearance kind of felt forced, it was still nice to know that I bought that game 4 or 5 months after it came out, and then I didn't beat it until the game was out for probably 9 or 10 months, and I still was able to avoid all that. So that made me pretty happy.
Yeah, I think that it's for me personally. I think when it comes to gaming, it's really hard. From what I've noticed, it's hard to find anything. Gaming systems don't go cheaper outside of like Black Friday and holiday deals and stuff. They don't usually go cheaper until or significantly cheaper until the next generation is out, from what I've noticed. But things like TVs and phones, those seem to phones get cheaper when the next one is out as well, but they're more constant. New phones come out regularly more often than a new system will. But TVs, they get cheaper very quickly, and I love that, because it doesn't take a lot to impress me with a TV, but if I can get something that's like 3 or 4 years old, that's still a lot you can do with a 2015, 2016 television. Like, there's a lot of great technology that comes with that, and you can get it for relatively cheap because everybody wants the newest thing. And if you're not super picky on what the newest thing is, then you can get things for a lot cheaper that are still very impressive.
Well, especially
at a fraction of the price.
Yeah, especially because right now the bigger things there's the stuff with, oh, this TV does blacks blacker, or this TV can display this many more colors like that. But a bigger thing we're seeing now with the newer TVs is more 4K, more HDR, more 8K, stuff like that. But right now, for someone like Johhny, who your main game console is a Switch, which caps at 1080p. You could go and you could buy a TV that it's an early 4K TV, so it may not have all the bells and whistles that a 4K TV in 2020 has, but right now when you're playing mainly Switch games, that's fine. You don't need it. Like, the TVs is a great example of one where I wouldn't buy into it with stuff. I bought my first 4K TV a year ago. We bought a Vizio 50-inch 4K TV, and we paid, I think, like $270 for it or something like that. Where that same style TV 2 or 3 years ago would have been $500, $600, $700 for a cheaper brand like a Vizio. So it's crazy with stuff like that where you can definitely hold off. Like right now you can buy 8K TVs, but there's so little things that take advantage of 8K TVs that it's like, why do you want to go buy an 8K TV for $2,300 at Best Buy? Like right now, I just Googled 8K TV, and so I can go to Best Buy right now, get a Samsung Smart 55-inch 8K TV with HDR, and it is $2,300. So
wow,
$2,000 more dollars. $2,000 more dollars than what I paid for my 4K TV to get 5 more inches, and to double the resolution, which is like a lot. But also, we're getting to the point where the human eye can not fully tell much of a difference with 4K and 8K and whatever will come after 8K. So it's like when you're an early adopter of a TV like this, just because you can flex, it's just like, is this really needed? Yeah,
and kind of in that line, you can get really good quality electronics and technology secondhand. Mm-hmm. There are very few technological things that I will buy not buy secondhand. So like my phone is one of them, and like laptops. Phones and laptops I won't buy secondhand just because those tend to be really buggy in my opinion, and I'm also just paranoid. But like, I got my Apple Watch secondhand, and it was a fraction of the cost of what it would have been to buy it off the Apple website. Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to think about too. Also, you bought an Apple Watch a couple years into the life of it. A lot of those kinks have been worked out. Like they fixed it, so any issues the Apple Watch 1 had, now on the Series 4, Series 5, Series 6 has fixed, and there's more features. There's things that you got buying a secondhand Apple Watch down the line that someone who bought an Apple Watch in 2013, 2014, like didn't have
Yeah.
until they upgraded. So yeah, there's, like we kind of touched on it, but why do we think that people like ourselves and others need the new things? Like, how much of it, is it a status symbol? Is it just we're materialistic? What do you think it is?
I think it's FOMO. I think people have such a fear of missing out on the latest thing, the newest thing, that they are willing to just pour money into something that they don't really need, or at least they don't need right away.
Mm-hmm. Johhny, what about you?
It's, I'm trying to think of it, and I really can't, because I'm like so far behind in most cases, and I'm always impressed with things that are 5 years old. It's hard for me to imagine what it is, because I don't have the desire to have, the newest phone or the newest laptop or, whatever. So I can't necessarily, I'm not really sure if it's a status symbol thing, or if it is a sense of being too materialistic, because I just don't live in a world where that's something I desire. So I don't know. I mean, I could guess either one, but the idea of spending, a few $1,000s on something this year that you're going to need to stay updated constantly, you're going to need to do that again the next year or 2 years from now. It does not make sense to me. So I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. A couple more questions then before we kind of wrap it up. So you kind of touched on it, Johhny, yourself with Nintendo, but what are some of the big things that you guys do see yourself buying right at launch or early, and stuff? Like, what are your early adoption things? Like, no matter what, outside of rare circumstances, you are a day one buyer of these things.
For me, the only things that I get day one are video games. I would have gotten the PlayStation 5 day one if it wasn't the pandemic, if it wasn't the shit show that is 2020. If things were going normally, I would already have a PS5. But other than games from Nintendo, or systems that come every 6 or 7 years, that's really it. I buy video games day one pretty much every single time there's a major Nintendo release. But that's about as far as I go. I don't have an Apple Watch. I don't have, the newest laptop or phone. I have a TV that Connor gave me for free because he upgraded, and it looks like a computer screen, like a computer monitor. It's so old. I have one that's not even a flat screen. I have one of those like round back TVs that are that still have VHS tapes in them. Players, yeah. So I am very much
An old man.
Aside from the person that you don't want to help move, I am because of all of my old, heavy, unnecessarily heavy objects. I stay very much out of date when it comes to most of my technology.
I don't really buy tech.
Not even tech, just really other thing, like the new things you buy. Like, are there certain? I guess even movies can kind of go into it, because it's like you buy a movie day one, even though you know that in 2 months you can probably save $10 on it.
Honestly, I really don't, because a lot of the stuff that I'm interested in comes out November, December, and with my birthday and Christmas being so close together, I normally just am like, I'll see what I get for birthday or Christmas, and if I still really want it, then I'll just use, any money I have to just buy it when I have the money for it. I think the closest thing would be whenever the new Riordan books come out, but even then, I didn't get the last one until my birthday, and that was a present. I don't see the point in buying new things if I don't need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I bought a PS5 day one. I bought a PS4 day one. Besides that, there are a few games, like Johhny, there's a few game series that I buy pretty much day one. I have bought every Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2, with the exception of Black Ops 3 on release date.
Wow.
That's right. So I have bought every Call of Duty since 2009. I have bought. The only one I didn't, I got for Christmas. But it's one of those, like, even though it's more like, okay, I'm just gonna buy like Call of Duty Ghosts. I bought that one in 2013 with my PS4 because I wanted a PS4 game with my new system, especially because the PS4 wasn't backwards compatible. So I wanted something that I knew I could get time out of it. And while it's one of my least played Call of Duties, I still got a decent amount of time out of it that made that purchase worth it. And, you know, if that's the same case that happens with Black Ops Cold War, then that's fine with me. But yeah, like there's that. Sonic is another one where I typically go out and buy the new games pretty much right away. Crash Bandicoot. But besides that, yeah, I'm the same. I will kind of wait on buying some of my games either till they go on sale or until I have some spare money, because you know, and some of the games I've waited on have been some of my favorite games. Spider-Man might be my favorite PS4 exclusive that I played this past generation. You know, God of War is really good, and I got Spider-Man about a month after release, but I also played it early on because I rented it. But I got God of War 8 months after it came out, and by the time I beat it, the game was already a year and a half old, and like I loved it. It still was a great game. So, you know, it definitely has its pros and cons and stuff. Like I said, like it's great when you can be the first one to experience it. There is a website that tracks your PlayStation trophies, like your achievements, and so it'll when it syncs to the server, it'll go onto this website that someone made that'll like read all that info, and it'll try to put you in a leaderboard of when the people were the first to get stuff. You know, it's not 100% accurate because there's some people that earn achievements and they never sync the trophies to online because maybe they don't have internet or something like that. But there are a few Call of Duty map packs where I am one of the first 20 people that got some random zombie achievement done, like when the map pack came out, because like the day it came out, I jumped on and I did it quickly. And so it's like I was able to do that, so I can say hey, I'm on some leaderboard, but also
random flex, Luke.
Yeah, it's like, but that random flex is not going to matter outside of just, you know, just dropping it on a podcast. Like that's not going to make, you know, anyone like want to do interview me on some website or anything like that. Like, cool, I was one of the first 20 people on PlayStation 3 to kill a zombie in this map with this gun. It's like, okay, whatever. So yeah, you know, there's definitely a lot of good things. You know, obviously, as someone who is going to be enjoying his PS5, I'm happy to have it. There's a lot of quality of life improvements that it has over the PS4 that it will be hard to go back to a PS4 if I were ever at someone's house that does have a PS4 with the improvements that PS5 makes. But also, I don't blame ones who want to wait until that price cut, because while the systems don't go down drastically, we do typically see a price cut, $100, $150 from the original model when a refreshed one comes out, or a refreshment comes out that fixes some of the issues with the original. But it definitely takes some thought and considerations when you go and buy it. So now we can move on into recommendations then. So, Johhny, it was your turn this past week with Brian David Gilbert's Dances Moving, his little YouTube series, a 7-part YouTube series, pretty quick to go through. Most of the episodes are about 2.5 minutes. A couple of them are about 4 minutes long. So, Johhny, first, why don't you talk about why you picked this YouTube video series and why you made this a recommendation?
I haven't watched much of Brian David Gilbert's stuff, but my friend Rachel actually recommended me, or like showed me a few of his things, and I just thought he was really funny. And this came on my YouTube recommended stuff just randomly a few years after this was posted. I only watched this a few weeks ago for the first time, and I saw a lot of analysis videos after I watched it. I saw a lot of analysis stuff, and I love videos like that. This reminded me a lot of not necessarily the content, but the deepness of it reminded me a lot of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, and how a lot of people can deep dive into what does this mean? What does this installment mean? And I think this might have been a little less deep than Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
Just a tad.
Just a tad, but there's still a lot of like the word choices that he uses, and there's even some moments of he talks about how a 4/4 beat is like his comfort level in the in like one of the first or second video. He talks about how the 4/4 beat is his comfort level, but then in the partners dancing, when he gets broken up with his girlfriend, it goes to a 3/4. It goes 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and that's obviously because he just broke up with his girlfriend. He's in an uncomfortable state, and so he's not in his safe zone. And so even the beat changes, and like that was very purposeful. And so there's a lot of things like that happen throughout the series that are very much just like you might not notice the first time that you watch it, but then as you rewatch it and you listen to the things that he says, it's very it's deep. It's very thought. It's very there was a lot of thought put into it with particular things that happened. And also every episode has a diss towards Declan. So
yeah, Declan, screw Declan.
I like Declan.
Declan is fantastic.
Yeah, it was. I can definitely see. Like I said, the idea of it. There's more than meets the eye with it. Like obviously there is a story that goes on there, and there's little context clues you can pick up with it that leads to it. But yeah, there's such a deeper thing. Like I said, like the difference of the comfort beats and things like that, where you can really see this as the story kind of progresses and he gets like more emotionally sadder and sadder. Everything just can kind of change. It was definitely an enjoyable one. I was when you mentioned that something happens, but it's not going to be as out there as Sonic Dreams Collection. I was wondering, and then I was like, oh, okay, what are we getting here? And then when you first see him talk to the girls, like, oh no, are they going to like break up or something? It was sad at the end, Johnny. Why you got to do this to us?
But it's very much. I mean, I feel like it very much felt like how a breakup feels, which is there's those butterflies in your feel. Like at the start, you're very excited, you have a really good relationship, and then when and if things don't work out, it's a very it's like a roller coaster, very quick crash down, and then there's the last episode is like a little bit of going back up and a little bit of like kind of getting back to who you're supposed to be and learning to grow from that. And like, even if you don't feel like you want to grow because you're so sad about what happened, there's still something in you that's pushing you forward just a little bit every day, just closer and closer to where you want to be. And eventually you get back to your normal. And, I loved it's kind of like a sad but inspiring take on relationships, and I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, Corey, what did you think about it?
I really liked it. I just really liked it. I love Declan. I'm going to defend him till the day I die.
Them.
Sorry. We love Declan. But yeah, no, I really liked it.
Good.
Yeah,
what did you think about the deeper side of it?
Honestly, I didn't get like too deep into that storyline, if that makes sense. Like I understood
you were just there for the dancing.
Yeah, I was just kind of not super emotionally invested.
Fair.
But I do like how that they use the music to kind of display, like, yeah, this is his state, like their state of mind right now. We're not doing too hot, which I thought was nice. And then, just the vibe. We'll just go with the vibe. The vibe's good. Good vibes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it is definitely is a fun one. Nothing too serious, especially after we've had some serious recommendations or just some out there recommendations. This was a lighthearted one. It's goofy. It definitely shows off a lot of the style that we have in these. So if any of our listeners went and checked it out as well, this is a lot of the stuff you can expect from Brian David Gilbert. The one I mentioned, I first saw him on because he's with Polygon as well. He did a video for Crash Bandicoot when Crash Bandicoot 4 came out, where he went and, quote, entered a 90s dimension so he could like experience what Crash Bandicoot was like in the 90s, because he's like our age. He's only 26. So, he was 2 when Crash 1 came out and stuff like that. So he was pretty young, so he never actually got to fully experience it early on. And so he went and did that, and he did things like he sat on an inflatable couch and he ate he ate pizza bagels and would drink Surge and a lot of things like that. That was like very 90s. He purposely would not do things that weren't in the 90s, and anything that was like modern he would put in a lockbox. And so a lot of goofy stuff like that. So what would you rate it then, Corey, before we move on into your recommendation?
4 out of 5 Declan's.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8 out of 10 high knees.
Okay.
So good job, Johnny. Another fun one. So Corey, that means it is your turn once again. So what do you got for us this week?
I wanted to keep it the same vibe as Johnny. So I'm having you guys watch Julie and the Phantoms.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Yes. So this is actually a geek recommendation over on Nerdmageddon this week as well. And we were only supposed to watch the first episode. I finished the whole season in 2 days. But basically, it's about a girl named Julie. Her mom passed away. And as she's cleaning out her mom's in-home studio, she somehow summons these 3 boys who had been part of a band back in like the mid to late 90s. And so she has to help them find their true calling, how they're going to be able to pass on. And they help her kind of feel a little more connected to her mom through music again. It's very sweet. I'll only have you guys watch the first episode, but if you keep going, please tell me, because I have so many thoughts and feelings. Because I finished it last night. And
it's on Netflix, right?
Yes, this is on Netflix. You only have to watch the first episode. And even though it's a kid's show, it is like targeted towards kids. The songs are bops. Like 10 out of 10.
Alrighty, perfect. Oh, this is actually based off of a Brazilian show. Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay, perfect. So, yeah, Julie and the Phantoms, it is on Netflix. And unlike when Connor recommends stuff that he says on stuff, we actually know this is on Netflix. This did just come out in September, so it's still a relatively new thing. So, awesome. We definitely will watch that, and we'll give our thoughts on that next week, as hopefully Connor will join us next week as well. So let's move on into the sponsor segment and then wrapping up the episode. So just a quick reminder that this podcast is sponsored by Anchor, the easiest way to make a podcast. Visit anchor.fm to start your own. This podcast is also sponsored by ByLightFixtures.com. Visit ByLightFixtures.com for a trusted source of quality lighting products for your business or home. And, again, a big thank you to Tom Taylor of Tailored Beats for the intro and outro for this podcast. Follow him on SoundCloud.com/Tailored Productions for beats like that and more. And, just again, thanks, Corey, for joining us these last 4 weeks now. And everything you've been able to do for us. It's been great to have you on here and being able to basically have the show not miss a beat without Connor. While you obviously are not Connor and you have your own opinions of things, you bring a lot of you bring a lot of good discussions to it as well. That it doesn't feel like we're Johnny and I are trying to carry the show with a host who may not be able to carry it as well. So thank you again on that. So push your social medias again. So another time that people can find you if maybe they are listening to these episodes out of order. Where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at MissKitten1067. I'm on Instagram as CorrieBug. And you can also find me on Nerdmageddon. That's NERD as in dog, MAGEDDON. We're also on the KNWT Facebook page, so you can find those links on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok as MissKitten_97. And over at the Chaos Corner podcast, where you can listen to us on pretty much any podcasting website. So if you can find Rocket Talk, you can find Chaos.
Hey, that's because you guys use Anchor as well, the sponsor of this podcast. Hey. Awesome,
well, yeah. Like Luke said, Corey, it's been a lot of fun having you on. We definitely want to have you on again in the future. I miss Nerdmageddon so much, and so I am excited to. I have been excited to have you on this past month practically. So it's felt like the old days. So we'll definitely in the future, whenever we manage to kill off Luke, then we will have you, and we'll try to have you and Court and Connor on, so we can have a full-on classic Nerdmageddon episode on Rocket Talk.
You're going to make me blush. I talk about you on the show all the time, by the way, Johnny.
You do? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, she misses
good
you.
Things, I hope.
How about, oh, man, I'm so glad Johnny's not on the show anymore to give his dumb recommendations. No, but yeah, and then go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say it's always nice things about Johhny.
Oh, good.
Not nice things about Connor though, obviously.
No.
Yeah, never Connor.
That's why Connor's fired. No, but yeah, Connor will be back next week, tentatively planned, so that'll be good to have him back so he can, give all of his stuff that as we've missed his opinions on things as well. But don't forget to check out our social medias as well. We can be found on Facebook, on Twitter, and also on Twitch, which now that my PS5 is getting all set up, I'm going to be playing some Black Ops Cold War on there. Maybe when I jump into Pokemon Snap, Bug Snacks, I will stream that as well, since that game is basically Pokemon Snap with food, so and cursedness. So I'll be definitely doing that. And as Connor gets back in the fray of things, be sure to be on the lookout for Moving in Stereo, as that show should be launching soon once they finalize some more plans with that. So be on the lookout for that. And also we're always tweaking and changing the ideas we're going to have for Rocket Talk over the coming episodes, coming months, and all that as well. So be sure to see as we try to incorporate some more of different segments and other more fun things as we continue to grow with this podcast. As we're going to be at episode 40 next week, so that's awesome. And then also don't forget about the minis that I alluded to earlier for the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, where we can give a little more of more impressions, more of a review than just, oh yeah, I like it so far. Like things like how we like it compared to the previous systems and where they can have them improve and stuff like that. So be sure to look out for those minis that should be coming out in the next couple of weeks as we are approaching the holiday season. So thank you everyone, and we will see you next week.